In his prime, Roy Jones Jr. threw the best lead hook that anyone has ever seen. It was lightning fast with devastating knockout power that he could throw from just about any distance, any time, any angle, from any positioning he was in the ring. And this made him almost impossible to beat. Today, I'm going to break down the mechanics of what made that punch so special, and I'm going to give you 3 things that you can be doing the next time you're on the heavy bag in the gym to help you improve your lead hook as well. And it was actually one of these lead hooks that helped me win an Olympic medal, and I'll talk about that one in a second. Now, Roy Jones Jr. had many different ways to throw the hook, but the first one that I'm going to teach you, this one was his real bread and butter, so unorthodox, and one of the most eye-catching boxing techniques that you'll probably ever see, and it's mechanically pretty simple. This is the double or triple or even quadruple lead hook. Now you might look at this and think, well, that's all speed. It's all an arm punch. I could never do that. And yes, the speed is a huge part of it, but when you study the details of this movement, you can start to understand exactly how he throws it so fast and how you can do it like that as well. Now, there's a never-ending argument in boxing. Should you throw the lead hook with your thumb up or your thumb in facing towards you? And I've done a video all on that, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to be throwing the lead hook with our thumb up the top like this, because that's the way Roy Jones likes to throw it. So that's the way we're going to be throwing it. And as well, it's the way I like to throw as well, unless it was a long lead hook, but we're not going to be talking about that one right now. Now, with the thumb up the top here, when I am throwing this punch, it's got way less movement, rotational movement, that if I was throwing it the opposite way. So from here, all I'm really doing, I've got my weight 50-50, I'm going to transfer that weight to the back foot and let my arm come out. And I'll show you this in the bag in a second, and you'll see right there, just because of this little weight transfer, I'm going to get the power into the punch. So I'm here. Now, I want you to try this yourself, because it's way less rotation and you can get more speed in it. Just like you see him on the screen right now. Look how fast that lead hook is. And that's why he can throw 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these lead hooks in a row. But if he was trying to turn the wrist around each time, it's just way harder to do this than ba, 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 which I'll show you on the bag in a second. It can also help you take small steps with that as well. And it's actually easier when you're stepping to get more power into that punch. And when you are stepping, you don't have to have your arm out so far, because you're closing the distance with that step, allowing you to do this again and again. Now, to me, it makes perfect sense why he doesn't turn his hand over throwing that hook. And a couple of reasons is, if you think about, if I am throwing the hook and I'm turning over like this, now, it still is a powerful punch, but it takes longer. Now, I'm talking split seconds longer, but when you're fighting, it's them split seconds that make the big difference. So rather than turn it over, he keeps his thumb up here. And already, that is way more comfortable. I don't have to think about turning the hand on the end. The hand's already turned, the thumb is already up. So all I've got to do is a little transfer with the weight and bring my arm out. And that's the single lead hook there. Now the same with throwing 2 and 3. If I throw 2 and I had to turn that, it feels horrible and it's slow compared to this. Way better. Now, another thing to do when you're doing this is put pressure on the ball of your foot. It's this, when you're putting the weight over there, which will help you get the speed. So if I want to throw 3 of these lead hooks now, I can throw it and come out. I'm here. And I come out. So that there, I can see how fast that is. Now, obviously with this, you're not getting maximum power in the punch like you would if you were really sitting forward and then loading up that big punch. And that's okay, because Roy would often do this, like you see on the screen right now. He's hitting that guy with 3 lead hooks in a row. If someone's hitting me with 3 lead hooks in a row, what's going to happen? This hand's going to come up there, leave me open there, or I'm going to forget about this side, because I'm just focusing on this side, and then when I forget about this side, this one comes down. And this is what Roy was a master at doing, getting his opponent to do what he would want him to do. Also, what he liked to do was mix things up as well. He would be throwing that jab, waiting for their opponent to parry it. As soon as they would parry it, he would then feint the jab, boom, come around the side of that parry and hit them with a lead hook while stepping in. But not just one, it's then when he would do 2 or 3 lead hooks in a row, mixing it up. the person in front is thinking, what the hell is this all about? Am I in the ring with a bloody octopus with 8 arms? So when he's in front of their opponent, he'll be using that jab. He'll be having his hand down here so his opponent thinks that they can throw that punch. But because he's moving, now their opponent is afraid of throwing that punch, even though that lead hand's down. Because he's moving and he's so fast, they think, well, if I throw the overhand right, which he's open for, they're going to get countered. And a lot of the times, that's what he wants. He wants them to throw that cross. So we call this drop baiting. He's got this hand down, he'll even put his weight forward, so now they think, I can't miss if I throw that right hand. Because he's so fast, he would then get out of the way, throw them hooks, and then he's gone again. Now the opponent is thinking, oh my God, I can't throw that again. Anyway, let's move on to technique number 2. Roy had a reputation as being a showman, the greatest showman when he was fighting. He seemed to be having so much fun in the ring, and then when he wanted to knock someone out, he would do it. And his most favorite technique was by far the most devastating. And this was the long range leaping lead hook. Something that I don't ever teach. I've taught a gazelle punch before. Now this one is a little bit different the way that Roy did it. Now people often say that Roy didn't have a great jab, but the truth is he had an unbelievable jab. He just didn't use it to score points or to find his range like most fighters do. Rather than trying to snap the head back with that jab, Roy would be jabbing the gloves. He would then jab the body. He would get his opponent to start committing to that parry. And when they start parrying, and then he knew exactly what he was going to do. The hands would come down to parry, but the head would stay on the center, and he gets what he wants. And that right there is leaving their opponent wide open for this jumping lead hook. Now, what makes this different from just throwing a big, horrible lead hook like that was how he closes the distance with his feet is so fast that by the time their opponent has registered that first jab, his feet are already in range and he's thrown and landing that lead hook. And giving their opponent no time to reset, leaving him wide open to follow up shots. He would throw the jab of the head, jab of the body, throwing that jab, waiting for the big parry from their opponent to defend it. As soon as they defended, he would come over. Now this is something that you can do and you should train for on the bag, where you're throwing that jab, you're throwing that jab, visualizing they're parrying with that right hand. Now, when I was in the ring and I was fighting and I threw a jab and someone was parrying that jab with their backhand, I was like, oh, mate, you're about to get blasted with a lead hook. And we can practice this on the bag. I'm jabbing. I'm thinking my opponent's parrying, he's parrying. What I'm going to do a realistic feint. When I do that, that hand comes out. From there, boom, over the top. So it'll be jab, feint and leaping in with that lead hook, because we know that they think that I'm going to throw a jab, that hand's coming down, they're wide open, boop, for that big long lead hook. Now with his leaping left hook, he'd be here, look, I'm out of range. If I'm right here now, I can't hit my opponent, he can't hit me. So he would be out of range there, then he would push off his back foot and leap forward with that lead hook, fast to the face. So we'll be here out of range. The opponent thinks they're safe because they're out of range. So what he will be doing, he might step in with that jab there, moving back out. Might step in with that jab there, move back out. Then from there, pushing off that back foot, flying forward, but rather than that jab, which they think's coming, he's then going to turn that into that long lead hook. So we'd be here, there, he's out of range, no one can hit no one from there. Oh! I think you heard the sound of that. That was some big power I got in there. Now, before I get into Roy's third technique, which this was something that I used to do and I would knock out loads of opponents, and it's simpler than you think. I just wanted to say about Roy's career, how coming to the end of it, it was sad because he started getting knocked out. And as a fighter, what tends to happen as we get older, the first thing that goes is not our speed, it's not our power, it's not our footwork, it is our timing. And it was so sad seeing Roy lose his timing and getting knocked out multiple times off people who would never have done that years ago. Now, when he was fighting, things were different to what they are now. Now, now, this day and age, we've got different technologies and training methods and supplementation that can help us not only stay younger for longer, which might sound crazy, but also reverse the aging in our cells. And since I retired after 106 fights, being punched in the head thousands of times, I've done so much research on my own brain, including spending lots of time in the Cleveland Clinic in Las Vegas for the biggest fighters' brain study in the world, working with Dr. Charles Benedict and having in-depth conversations with my friend Andrew Huberman, who's in neuroscience, to find out the things that I can do to my brain to prolong the aging and keep me sharper for longer. And throughout my research, one thing that I've found that has got so many great studies about reversing the age of the cells and the damage that it's done is NMN. And this is a supplement that I take daily. And I just wonder if these fighters who went on throughout their careers and went too long, like Roy, like Mike Tyson, like Evander Holyfield, if they had this supplementation, I wonder if it would have helped them. Anyway, real quick, I get my NMN from a research company called DoNotAge.org that is owned by a professional boxer that is obsessed with brain health. Now, if you're thinking about your brain health, great. I recommend you check out DoNotAge.org and check out their NMN and do some research on it as well. And thank you, Do Not Age, for partnering with me on this great video. Now, let's talk about my favorite punch and combination in boxing. Now, you might be looking at all of Roy Jones's punches and thinking, why are these guys not just keeping their hands up to defend Roy's punch? It's obvious he wants to land that hook. We've seen him land it time and time again. So if they had their hands up, he wouldn't be able to hit them. Why are they not doing that? And you're partially right. But what you're missing is all of the other weapons he would throw that made it easier to land the punch that he was looking for. He's got a right cross that will knock your gloves away, an uppercut that splits the guard, and most importantly, the left hand to the body that forces you to bring your hands down. So much of Roy's offense was based around the double threat, doubling up the right hands and mixing up head-body hooks and keeping your opponent unsure of what the next shot is going to be and where it's going to come from. And when I was fighting, I used to do this as well. I might spend 1 or 2 rounds setting up a lead hook to the body, making my opponent think that I'm not going to throw this lead hook to the body, giving them the confidence to raise their hands a little bit, so as soon as that was open, boom, I could land that punch. And this is what Roy was doing as well. He's constantly setting up other punches. And you might have heard the phrase of chess, where you're 1 or 2 steps ahead all the time. Well, this is what he was a master at. He would be using one soft hook, then ripping in the next one in a different target to the body. Now, here's how you throw it and how I had success with it. Now, this is great and you should try this if you're sparring. So when I'm inside here, I would like to touch my opponent upstairs. If I'm touching him upstairs like this, what's going to happen is the elbows are going to come up. And the elbows come up, whipping in that body shot. Now, Roy used to do this all the time, but he would throw a pretty hard lead hook to the head. If someone's throwing that lead hook to the head that hard, what's happening? This hand's coming up, right? He's setting up that body shot. He's throwing this lead hook to the head, not to knock them out, only to get this elbow to come up so he can whip in that body shot. So he's there, and really whipping that lead hook to the body. And if you're throwing this at someone, it doesn't even have to be that hard. They're not expecting it. If you do this to yourself when you're relaxed, oh, mate, you're going to feel it. So we will be here, getting close inside, whip it in, then from there, a fast recoil and bringing that back. So I'm here. Mate, you're done. That's knocking people down and knocking people out, as we see Roy doing right here. Then he'd be using the same leaping technique to target the body as well. Now, you'd think doing that, you're going to be running or jumping straight into that overhand right. But he wouldn't be doing that, obviously, which is where the rest of his game comes into play. You can't be doing all of these high-risk moves while dropping your hands, while leaping forward with the chance of you're going to move straight into a punch, unless you're absolutely in control of all of the action and you know exactly what your opponent is going to do and when they are going to do it. The one thing about Roy that people forgot though is that when he first learned to box, he learned the proper way. He had 140 fights, qualified for the Olympics, came home with a silver medal, which he got robbed of the gold, and recently he's just getting his gold medal. He went up through the ranks and worked harder than just about anyone else. And let me tell you, through someone who's also competed at the highest level in the Olympics and as a professional, not as high a level as a professional as Roy Jones Jr. though, without a great game plan in place and training structure like what I used for the 2008 Olympic Games, you will really struggle to reach the levels that you could potentially reach. Now, if you want to know the training structure that I did for the Olympic Games, I've created a full video breaking that down. If you click here, watch this video next, I'll tell you exactly how I trained and what I did to reach the Olympics. Click here and watch this video next.